Yapapa yapapa. Don't know what to do. That's how I start these episodes. Remember when I used to do that?
Yeah, it's like last episode you did that, right?
Yeah, but we sure gotten into the motion of things, really smoothed out. We know exactly what we're doing now. It makes the title less appropriate, but we're figuring it out. So hey everyone, no weird special gimmicks this week. It's just me, your host, Elena, or Hedgie, whichever. And we got a guest today. You've also heard this person. Say hello.
Hi, I'm Swarley. I think you heard me before. It'll be kind of weird if you didn't by now. But if you heard me in real life, who knows me and watches this show? That's crazy.
Today, we're not doing anything weird. We're not covering a specific topic. We're just gonna phone it in. To be honest, it's really simple. Cause today we're basically spinning the wheel. So listeners, I've occasionally referred to my notes. Every time you hear me say that, imagine me like pointing to like the Sherlock montage of it's when I say notes, I mean mostly just whatever's in my head. The actual notes is more like an episode list so that I could quickly look up where something was and I could just recap the episode or the chapter in like 10 minutes. And so far that's worked for me so far. But since this is an audio medium, just wanted to let you know, when it came for me to write these notes, I wrote them in a very specific way. I didn't just write down the names of the episodes. I wrote these in a way so that whenever I have guests, I could potentially ask them, hey, just go down this list, see if something catches your interest, and then just have someone go through this and be like, now, hold on, when you say Shadow Ranma versus Shadow Ranma, what exactly is that all about? And then I could be like, well, I could tell you. And that's basically why I made these notes the way I have. But, we've been covering a bunch of, like, important stuff, establishing characters to the listeners who might not be familiar. But, today we're taking it easy. So for the first time, I was able to ask a guest to just pick something off the list. I don't even care.
Yeah, I picked something on the list.
Do you remember what it was specifically that you picked?
I picked Kick the Can because I think it was like it was definitely more, I guess, tropey. I guess is the way to put it. Back then, where they just characters would just like, oh, there's like a object in the middle of the road or field or whatever, like near me. I'm just gonna kick it as hard as I can, or I'm gonna kick it like to the next person that I see, and then eventually it becomes this like weird house rules game of soccer or football or rugby, depending on where they kind of lead into. And I was wondering, like, well, if Ranma kicks the can, is there some martial arts behind it? Is there some like hidden talent that Genma passed on, or is this just, oh, they saw a can, he kicked it maybe to Ryoga, and then suddenly they, their competitive spirit flares up, and then now they have like, the whole chapter is involving like kicking like this random object down the street or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So like, I do like this is the first time I've had well, we don't have a topic, just pick something. But like I really look forward to just seeing like what sticks out to people, cause like you saw Kick the Can. It's like, well, what's that about? What's this? Why is there a Ranma episode about kicking the can? But someone else might be like, hold on, in episode 109, you just wrote that as Hopple-Sai's Dream World technique. What the hell's that about?
Yeah.
And I like this. This is why I wrote my notes to be to be the least useful they could possibly be to anyone looking at them without context. That's why it's all actually in my head. The real physical notes on the screen are not that useful.
Yeah, it's more like a honey trap or like a bait setup thing where I ask you like, "Hey, that looks like it's weird and interestingly," and you explain it, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we spun the wheel. I rolled my Swarley dice, and you landed on kick the can. So I was like, okay, I think I got a gimmick that would include this episode, and I was able to pick a couple of other storylines that connect to it. But I'm not going to tell you the gimmick yet, because first, everyone's probably dying to know what's this kick the can episode about.
Yeah. So, what is the Kick a Can episode? Is it everything I described, or is it something completely different?
Okay, so this episode is an extremely fillery episode because almost nothing happens in it. Like, half the episode is just Ranma training or fighting invisible opponents that we don't even get to see until the end. But the premise I still think is fun because the concept is basically Hopplesai receives a package in the mail. And he's like, oh no, it's the Shadow Society. It's my turn. It's like, you know when Grandpa Simpson gets the letter in the mail of like, oh, there's only 2 surviving Hellfish members left. Bring your keys, etc. Like, he has that kind of reaction.
Okay.
So he then proceeds to explain to Ranma, hey, there's this secret society where, like, every couple of years, one of the members has to host an event where they give you a sacred object, and he pulls it out, and it just looks like a metal can. And he's like, this is not just a can, this is the sacred object. The job of whoever receives it is to protect it for the next 24 hours, while everyone else tries and capture it. And this is a showdown against some of the greatest warriors that ever lived. These are some of the most powerful people. They're all on my level, basically. We are the most powerful people around. And it's basically Hopplesai's turn to hold the Fight Club, is what the premise is.
So all these combatants are going to fight for this sacred can, or they're supposed to keep, like, play hot potato with it?
Yeah, basically. So I think the implication is that every once in a while, one of the members will receive the can, and it's just like, you're it.
Oh.
Protect the can while everyone else comes to your house to fight.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's a fun, goofy scenario, because, like, it's just a can, but Hopplesai is treating it so seriously. He's telling Ranma about these powerful warriors. They're all super strong. Some of these fights are to the death, and the loser must give up their martial arts. No more martial arts. Your school of martial arts is just gone forever. These are high-stakes duels that we must do. Anyways, Ranma, I'm gonna need your help. Quick, help me plan for the fight. They're gonna be here by sunset, most likely. We need to protect it until dawn. Let's go. And so, like I said, most of the episode is just Ranma training and just Hopplesai telling more stories and just hyping up this big encounter. But, like, we don't see the opponents at all while he's being attacked. Like, there'll be, like, super fast, like, martial arts people jumping out and swiping past him, and he doesn't know who see them. And it's all because the final punchline at the end, where it turns out it's just a bunch of old people. It's just a bunch of old folks that we've met. Cologne is there. It's just like, oh, hey, what's up? Yeah. And the reveal is that, Hopplesai was lying. Turns out, there are no stakes. It's literally just, hey, we haven't played Kick the Can in a while. Who's it?
Oh.
They just send the can, like, every 10 years or so. It's like, you know what? We all haven't met up in a while. Let's catch up for old time's sake. Whose place are we going to? Alright, send the can to Hopplesai. Let's play Kick the Can. Because, again, the objective is to protect this can while everyone tries to get it. But, like, it's literally just kick the can. Ranma, your home base. If someone kicks the can and shouts whatever, they win. And that's it. But Ranma was told that the stakes were high, and turns out it was just Hopplesai messing with him. And that's about it. So like I said, I feel like the premise, you could have done more with it.
Yeah, it does sound interesting. I mean, like technically he's not lying. These are highly skilled combatants, but
Yeah.
just again, the stakes are just non-existent.
Yeah, these are highly skilled combatants who are basically just bored. They're just like,
Right.
we haven't hung out in a while. This kick the can thing is just an excuse to meet up. And that we just got this collection of old people. Most of them don't talk. Because at the end, because like I said, Ranma gets attacked by like invisible opponents. We don't even see them most of the time because they're so fast. It's at night. And he's like, they could be anywhere. They could be hiding anywhere. Who are they? And at the end, it's revealed he's just a bunch of old people. Some of them have lines, others are very clearly just background characters someone designed. Some of them are wild. Shoutouts to my favorite of these guys. He doesn't talk, but you could point at him in the group shots. There's a guy that is just dressed like Benjamin Franklin, riding around a big fat cat.
Huh?
I'm like, what's up with that guy?
Yeah, that is weird. Wow.
Like, who is... Because a lot of them are dressed like old period piece stuff, because they're old. Like, one of them
Right.
looks like an old, like, Chinese palace eunuch.
You say old? Yeah. You say old, but these
Old.
are like century. Like, Rama's, like, I mean, relatively, it's set in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Benjamin Franklin is, what, 1776?
Yeah, but also, Haposai and Cologne are implied to be over 200 years old, because
Right.
ancient martial arts...
Ancient Chinese martial arts.
You know, most of them look Asian, but I love that there's the one guy that just looks like he's from the American Civil War. Right? I don't know why he's riding a big fat cat. That's just his gimmick, but I'm like, that guy really stands out. I want to know his story.
Could be, maybe a little political cartoon, and then maybe Rumiko Takahashi read it. It's like, oh, I guess this is what Americans considered, cartoons in the West, so I'll just put a big fat cat on
I
it.
guess that's just what Americans looked like 200 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also need to point out, Cologne is in this group, which implies that she's been meeting up with Haposai like every 10 years or so, even though, in the one episode where we find out that they used to be childhood friends, they imply that they haven't met since they were young because they didn't initially recognize each other. I hope someone got fired for that mess. But yeah, that's the episode. Not a lot going on. It's very simple. It's just Ranma, you're gonna have a big fight. And then he kind of doesn't really have much of a fight because we're not allowed to know who his opponents are because that's the whole punchline. I feel like they didn't really think that through.
Yeah. So it was implied that, or not implied, it was stated that Cologne and Haposai knew each other when they were kids. So
Yeah.
they split apart and then did their own thing, and then it was like, oh, nice to see you again.
Who knows? Maybe Haposai invited her because, like, hey, we got a bunch of old people meeting up. But, like, she's acting like she's part of this group. In fact, like, one of the punchlines at the end is that, like, Haposai's motivation for lying to Ranma and messing with him is that, like, for winning, the other old guys give him a box of panties.
Oh, wow.
And Cologne was like, I can't believe you guys are still doing this. This is so stupid. Like, just commenting on this, which again implies that she's been a part of these events before.
Wait, then is it implied that when it's Cologne's turn, someone has to give her something that she would like?
I don't know if this is like a Haposai specific, because he's hosting.
Right.
So, like, they knew that he would be the one to get the prize if they fail.
Right.
So who knows if it's personalized each time? I don't know, but like Cologne is treating it with like the level of like a bunch of guys exchanging Pokemon cards with each other because that's what they used to do when they were kids. And she's like, "Are you guys still doing this? Okay, whatever."
Yeah, because if it's not a box full of women's underwear, then it changes every time. But if it is, then isn't it implied also that Haposai started to kick the can?
It could also just be the joke that like these are all old men. All of the old men are weirdo perverts. Again, most of them don't talk. We don't really know much about this collective of old people.
I guess like you could fall into. I mean, usually the older people in the cast are either, I guess, perverts or just old weirdos with like really powerful martial arts, aren't they?
Yeah. But yeah, that was that episode. So not much going on
Cool.
there, but that's what we randomly selected on. And I then had to come up with like, okay, what kind of gimmick or topic would include this episode? And I thought about some, and I quickly came up on one thing. So I said Cologne was there, and I said most of the other old guys don't talk. There is one other person that does talk, because he was a returning character.
Okay.
There was an episode where they meet another old man. His name is Chigansai, and he was implied to be an old childhood friend of Hopplesize. And, this episode, which is like Hopplesize part of this collection of old people, was like, well, we already established that there's another weird old man that Hopplesize knows, so he's invited too. And if you watched that episode on TV, you would have no reason to know that this old man was in another episode. He, like I said, there's like 5 or 6 of these, most of them don't talk, and there's just this one guy there, he's just talking, and there's no reason to believe he's special. But if you saw that other episode, you're like, oh hey, it's Chigansai, what's up?
Huh.
So, for this topic, I decided to focus on returning one-off characters, which is not the same as recurring characters. These are just characters that appeared like 2 times.
Okay.
So I was able to get a list of some of those. These are pretty much all anime stories, because I was initially thinking of like how the anime handles one-off characters versus how the manga does. But then once I realized, well, pretty much all the episodes worth bringing up are anime exclusive, so it's already kind of implied that the manga doesn't really do this. In the manga, you're either a one-off character, or you're at least a minor recurring character who has appeared a couple of times. But nothing in between. And I do think it's interesting that, like, the anime is instead like, well, if we're gonna do filler, like, why do another episode where Tatiwaki Kuno, age 17, gets up to more shenanigans when we could instead bring back this old guy nobody remembers?
I guess it is a different way to do filler. I mean, keep it interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, who's this Chigansai guy?
Yeah, who is Chigansai?
So there's another episode. This filler episode, this is the one episode that's like, hey, Hopplesai's still a problem. After Hopplesai's introduction, we get like a little mini arc of like Ranma and Akane trying to deal with the fact that there's this creepy old man present. And then after that, they kind of just drop it. They'll occasionally be like, Hopplesai's carrying the burglar sack, and Ranma will like punch him or kick him or distract him. Cause like, hey, it's Hopplesai. That guy sucks. I'm gonna stop him from whatever he's doing because I don't like him. Nobody likes him. And that's often just like an excuse to like reintroduce Hopplesai and establish why he and Ranma are arguing in this episode. Whereas this filler episode, it's like, this is like half this filler episode is of like just normal day-to-day life. Like, what is a normal day at school like, knowing that Hopplesai could show up whenever?
Oh, it's that's pretty funny. It's like a stage threat. It's like, oh no, Hopplesai appears.
Yeah, like, the episode starts, like, Hopplesai stolen a bunch of girls' underwear at the school, and, like, Akane has, like, the angry mob of schoolgirls chasing after them, and Ram is helping, and it's just, like, you just see other students being like, oh, hey, it's that old man again. You think Rama's gonna get him this time? And then, like, Rama trips and falls. They're like, nah, never mind. Just, like, there's no plot here.
Yeah.
It's just, this is just a regular occurrence.
Yeah, it's like like 9:15. Oh, Homicide appears usually around then.
Yeah, at one point, like, Tatewaki Kuno shows up, he's like, "Fear not, Akane Tendo, I will assist you," and then he gets beat up by Hopplesai, and he's just on the ground. Well, Rama and Akane are like, "Well, that didn't work. Alright, everyone, let's go back to the drawing board," and they just leave Kuno on the floor, injured, nobody cares about him, and, like, that's most of the episode. Like, nothing particular is happening. Hopplesai doesn't have a new scheme. There's nothing being reestablished. It's just, yeah, this is just a normal day. This is just what is implied to happen on a regular occurrence. Just like, oh, there's Hopplesai again. All right, go get the net. Let's figure out. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, next time he shows up, let's try this. And just random wacky schemes. And that's like half the episode. The other half is about this subplot. And this episode's just so weird, because it starts with the Hopplesai thing, and they just have a line. Ram and Akane are like, "It's a shame our dads are away right now, because Hopplesai gets worse when they're not around to distract him." And it's like, oh, are they like on a business trip somewhere? What's up with that? Where are their dads? And they get home, and the dads are back. And it's like, all right, kids, we have a story to tell you. It turns out we were not just big cowards who are afraid of our master. We actually left for a reason. And just the revelation is that Son and Genma have been wandering the earth, trying to come up with a plan. How do we deal with Hopplesai? Because last time, when they were teenagers, they just got him drunk and sealed him up in a cave. But that didn't work forever. We need something else. And in their travels, they met this old man named Chigensai, who has mastered the art of invisibility. He can make himself disappear. And they're like, "Please, teach us this martial arts technique. With this, we can finally sneak up on Hopplesai and defeat him." It's like, okay, if that's what you guys want. And then they just train. We just get their training montage, and now they're back. And we spend like 5 whole minutes on this sequence just for the punchline to be that, like, okay, sorry, you guys are gonna do something. And they're like, good things come to those who wait. Yeah, well, we're biding our time. We're biding our time. Just wait, we can't rush these things. So it's like, okay, and then just goes back to Ram and Akane dealing with Hopplesai on their own. Like, it's really awkward and weird how, like, they interrupt the story to establish this whole, like, history with Chigensai and how the dads are studying this new technique, and then they're like, we'll do it eventually, don't worry, continue the episode.
Quick question. It was brought up that Son and Genma was terrified of Hopplesai because he would do what would he do again that would made him so scary? Was this just his training? Or
yeah, I mean, they're just kind of scared of him in general. He was just kind of a terrible mentor to them, but, like, they're mostly just afraid of him because he's stronger than them. He can beat them up.
Okay, and was this only brought up, like, in the introduction of Hopplesai? Because I remember reading it was never really, like focused on, like, oh yeah, Son and Gemma, or like, avoid Hopplesai at all costs. It was more like, oh, he's just kind of around the cast.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, in the manga, after Hopplesai is introduced, he's just around. And, like, you don't... The manga never makes us stop and think about, like, what daily interaction with him must be like. But this episode in the anime is now implying that, like, well, Rama and Akane have to deal with him at school on a regular basis. And, like, their dads sometimes just leave without warning. And it's like, okay, that's new. That's not, like, implied anywhere in the manga, but, like, it's continuing off of that introduction that establishes that they are afraid of him. They don't want him around. But then in the manga, they just kind of tolerate him after a while. Like, he will just show up, and we will deal with him as he comes. And other than that, we don't have to worry about it. Whereas this entire episode is about, like, who knows how many months it has been. And they're like, no, we actually have to do something about this. We can't just, like, We can't normalize this. We need to have a plan.
Yeah, because that was my question.
So that's most of the episode. And eventually they capped, like, Ram and Akane defeat Happosai. The way they defeat him is, Ranma distracts Happosai and tosses the underwear away, but then he pretends to lose so that Happosai could pick the little burglar sack back up, not knowing that while Ranma was distracting him, Akane switched the bags with a new one that's filled with, like, jock straps. And just like Ranma giving a thumbs up, like, thanks, a special thanks to the school's rugby team, and just like a bunch of guys in the background, like, yeah, anything goes, no problem. Which I do like the implication that, like, the whole school is willing to help out. Like Ranma had to have gone to these sports club, like, hey, you guys want to help beat up that old man? Oh yeah, sure. Tell us what to do.
I mean, I think even in the manga, he would constantly just be a nuisance to everyone around him by either just stealing underwear, or, I don't know, causing mayhem in his, like, what would you say? Because he only just, like, kind of pervs on women, but, like, other than that, he doesn't really cause too much of a ruckus.
Yeah, there are obviously exceptions, because,
right.
like again, like, one of the few exceptions, he occasionally will steal from, like, locker rooms. One of the most disturbing lines in this episode is one of the girls is like, I've already had to buy 10 pairs of gym shorts in the last month or something. And I'm like, oh damn, he's like forcing them to have to rebuy these things. That sucks.
Yeah, there's this financial burden because he steals underwear on the daily, and then these poor girls just can't keep up with replacing undergarments.
Yeah, but as I said before, like 80% of the time, he is stealing, like, freshly laundered clothes. He's stealing clothing from either clotheslines or from dresser drawers. These are just clean underwear. Like, he literally could have robbed a lingerie store. Like, nobody's wearing them most of the time.
Yeah, very specific criteria. You would think he wants to steal the dirty clothes because...
Yeah, but to him it doesn't matter. He just wants the underwear.
Yeah, but it's you can only I guess, like, it's only you can only think that maybe all the guys are just, like, tired of Happosai just running around and just, like, again causing mayhem and just, like, distracting them and stopping them from, like, daily activities like the sports club, or just going about class when you just have this pervy old man with, like, a crowd of girls just, like, running down the hallway. It's like, man, if he's gone, then maybe I can get to class on time.
Yeah. Again, it was just a punchline at the start of the episode that, like, Tatewaki Kuno attempts to stop Happosai and loses, and then everyone ignores him. But, like, he tried. He recognizes this old man is a problem. I'm gonna pitch in and help out. Like, I kind of like that. I like this episode, like, showing this solidarity in the students because of all the useless adults in their life that refuse to do anything about this problem.
Yeah.
I feel like that's better than a lot of, like, even, like, the official, like, Happosai storylines from the manga, where it's just kind of like, he's still a problem, wah wah, and then next week it's a different character who gets the spotlight. This one, like, it's showing that, like, no, this status quo continues. These characters have to live like this, and they hate it. And they're gonna take things into their own hands. But eventually we get the ending, where Happosai's down, so then Sonagema are like, aha, now we can beat him up. Now, behold, our ancient techniques, and they do the smoke bomb, and they disappear. It's like, whoa, it actually worked. Except it turns out they're just doing little cheap tricks, like Son burrows underground, Genma just gets a tarp painted like a tree. They're just hiding, and it's like, is this it? It's like, look, what do you want? We trade for, like, 1 week.
I mean, there's technically they're still running away from Happosai, so yeah, I don't know, back to square one, I guess.
Yeah, but, like, the final punchline is Happosai's like, oh, you're trying to do the invisibility thing? Okay, yeah, look, I'll show you. And then he poofs, and now he's invisible. It's like, whoa, wait, what? He knows the trick? God damn it. Yeah. But then Happosai explains, like, he proceeds to explain, like, okay, the actual technique is you channel your fight aura, you channel your ki to basically become one with the air. And that's cool and all, but like, you're air now. You can't fight. This is useless. The fact that you tried to defeat me with this is part of the problem. They're like, ah, oh, god damn it. And then gets the final punchline, where we just suddenly hear Chigensai. And I don't know if, like, Chigensai was secretly following Son and Genma the whole time, or if he just sensed, like, well, someone just turned it invisible, someone entered the invisibility dimension. Let me check that out. Because that's how they treat it. They treat it like he and Happosai just hop into an alternate plane of existence. Because, like, we just hear Chigensai's voice, and it's like, yo, Happosai, is that you? Oh, hey, Chigensai, what's up? Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah, how's it going? Oh, what are you up to? I'm just teaching my apprentices some business. You know how it is with kids these days. They're always impatient, but, you know, don't go too hard on them. They're good boys. All right, yeah, sure. Hey, you want to get some drinks afterwards? Yeah, let's go. Yeah, oh, man, I got this wonderful my apartment. There's this college dorm. We should check that out. Oh, I'm there, yeah. And then they just kind of pop out and hang out. And that's the ending, just the, like, oh, so this invisibility technique was never gonna work, and they were also learning it from another equally perverted old man that is friends with Happosai. So, like, they never stood a chance.
Right.
But, like, Ranma and Akane are just like, well, at least he's gone now. Oh, well, back to class.
Yeah, just, like, for the rest of the day, maybe they can just leave him alone.
Yeah, he's the dad's problem now. They have successfully pawned him off to someone else. But, like, yeah, just their goofy joke. And, like, I guess it makes sense that, like, when they have this later episode implying, like, Happosai has this, like, friend group, of course Chigensai is there. Of course Chigensai has lines. It's like, hey, remember me? It's like, no. Most people probably don't remember him. But yeah, that's a recurring character. Now, the one other thing I want to note about this is that eventually the manga also introduced an old man character who is Happosai's childhood friend, and his name is Rakyosai, and he is also just as perverted as Happosai, but he's got his own martial arts techniques, and he tries to be a foil to Happosai, but then eventually they just make up and like, hey, let's hang out, let's go be pervy old man together, and that's it. And it's basically the exact same thing as Chigensai.
Huh. And what is his flavor of martial arts?
Well, he was kind of art-based, I guess. He had, like, a paintbrush, etc. But yeah, he was a one-off character in the manga that happened way after the anime ended. So he was a much later manga character. But I just bring that up because it's not the only time that Rumiko Takahashi wrote some manga characters that are very similar to filler characters from the anime. And I've occasionally seen people say that they were inspired by, and I always press doubt because I'm like, okay, they're similar, but also it's just another old man. There's not much there. Chigensai is not a complex character. I would believe it if Rumiko Takahashi just also thought of that same idea years later. I'm not entirely sure, but the one example I keep seeing, there is another set of characters that appear twice in the anime as filler characters that are very similar to characters that appear later on in the manga. So, you recall, you were in the shampoo episode, remember? We talked about her.
Yeah, it's the twins. What are their names? Something Pink?
Pink and Link.
Pink and Link, yes.
Yeah, there is a storyline in the manga where Shampoo is revealed to have these two twins that she's just been in a feud with. And if you look them up, a bunch of, like, I regularly see people say that those two were inspired by Lin Lin and Lan Lan from the anime, who are also a pair of Chinese twins who are related to Shampoo and show up to cause problems for Shampoo.
Oh.
That's pretty much all they have in common. So again, I'm pressing doubt. I'm like, well, she could have also just also thought the idea, but also the fact that they're both of these twin characters are also from China and also related to shampoo is like, maybe she I don't maybe she saw that episode. Who knows?
Yeah, it was. Was it ever just the involvement of the anime from Rumiko Takahashi? He's just kind of like green lighted. It's like, oh yeah, just use my characters to the likeness, however you
Yeah,
see fit.
as
Yeah,
far
it
as
was
I'm
very
aware,
close, right? Yeah.
as far as I'm aware, she didn't have much involvement in the production beyond just letting them adapt her works.
Because I was gonna ask the other question is, then that means she might not have been very caught up in the anime here or there. She might have just like watched a couple episodes, but I it seems to point out that she just kind of kept writing the manga. And it's like, oh, the anime's out, and maybe I'll watch a few episodes, maybe I won't. Who knows?
Who knows? I have listed the example before of like, I've already covered him briefly, but another character that appears only twice in the anime is the Frog Master, who is, in my opinion, I think he's the worst character. He's just so boring. He has nothing original to him. He just turns into a frog. But like, his transformation is so inconsistent with how everyone else's works. And then in the manga, Rumiko Takahashi shows a bunch of birds falling into the spring of drowned frog and they become normal frogs. And like, I don't know. Was that on purpose? Was that her just showing that, like, here's how the spring of drowned frog would actually work? This is the canon spring of drowned frog. Please ignore the anime episode implying that there was a spring of drowned frog where the guy falls in and then he just kind of shows up to cause mischief. And then later he comes back because he wants to steal a magical seahorse that Dr. Tofu found. And then they fight, which I thought was cool. That's the only time I recall Dr. Tofu fighting someone.
Yeah, not to mention, I don't remember any storylines past like the first 30 chapters of Dr. Tofu.
Yeah, in the manga, Dr. Tofu just disappears. They don't even bring him back for like cameos. But the anime did continue bringing him back for stuff every once in a while. But yeah, like, who knows? Like, there are some things that are a little similar. And I've also seen a quote. I don't know how accurate it is. It's just a thing that I've seen mentioned on like Reddit posts. But I've heard Rumiko Takahashi say that like she did not want to give, when she was designing shampoo, she didn't want to give shampoo like a stereotypical name, like Ming Ming or Mei Mei or whatever, just like a repetitive syllable thing. Cause she's like, nah, I'm just gonna name my characters after beauty products. She's just taking the Dragon Ball approach of just name everyone after a pun. Don't even try to give them like actual Chinese names because she's not Chinese. She doesn't know good names. She's just not gonna bother. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because when the anime introduced Chinese characters, their names are Ling Ling and Lang Lang. The thing that she allegedly doesn't like doing, because, like, it's a bit of a stereotype just naming Chinese characters this way. I don't know. Which, again, I don't even know if that quote is true. But if it is, it's just another reason to suggest that maybe she did watch that episode and was like, okay, I'm gonna do my own Chinese twin story. Which, I don't know. I think Ling Ling and Long Long are fun characters.
Right.
I don't feel like they needed correcting, which, when I think about it, that feels kind of ballsy. Like, we're going to make new filler characters, but they're Shampoo's sisters. They are a part of Shampoo's family. That sounds important.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, is this because the anime is taking liberties of the source material and writing new characters in?
Well, so they don't usually make a bunch of one-off characters like that. I'm actually looking at the list.
Yeah.
Lingard and Longman were introduced in episode 58, which is the 14th filler episode. People remember there being a ton of filler, but like they didn't start till like season 3. So like there were not a lot of one-off filler characters prior to that. I'm looking at the list now, actually. I think Chikensai was the only one. Oh, wait, no. Killer from Jusenkyo was episode 48.
Okay.
And the Ghost Bra. Everyone remembers the Ghost Bra.
Yes,
She did not come back.
Okay.
But yeah, so let me tell you about these episodes because there were 2 of them.
Okay.
And I say let me tell you about these episodes because I'm gonna be honest, they're both pretty much the same plot. And in fact, I had to rewatch these episodes to refresh my memory because they both blended together. And then on rewatch, I was like, oh, this is intentional. Like they reuse. Like, they have a joke where Ling Ling and Lang are doing their ultimate move, and they just do this, like, stock animation sort of transform. Like, they do, like, henshin poses and do all sorts of special sound effects, like they're doing a big attack, and they do it in both episodes. So they're clearly purposely calling back to that first episode when they brought them back. Just here's a running gag, except it's a running gag for 2 episodes, because they didn't appear in anything else. Anyways, so there's an episode where we are introduced to Ling Ling and Lang Lang. They show up and Shampoo's like, hey, it's you guys. How's it going? Oh, you guys were training. Did you finish your training? And they're like, we sure have. And as soon as we came back, we heard about how you came to Japan to kill that Ranma girl. And we're like, we're here to help. We're ready. We finished our Amazon trading. We want some action. Point us in the direction of this Ranma person. You gave her the kiss of death, right? You're supposed to murder her at all costs.
Oh yeah, the kiss of death. I forgot about that.
And Shampoo's just like, yeah, hold on. I don't know where Ranma is, but you know, you 2 look that way, I'll look this way. And just like, it's cute that like, we get a bunch of scenes in the episode of Ling Ling and Lang Lang just wandering around town, fighting random people. Just picking fights, because they're young. They look like they're 10 or something. They're very young.
Huh.
So most people, upon being challenged by them, like, they go to the kendo club, and like, we want to fight tough people, and Tatsuaki Kuno, age 17, is like, oh, look at them, they're adorable! Oh, look at you! Oh, I apologize, ladies, but we are serious fighters. We do not fight children. And then they beat him up and win, because that's how we're establishing, oh, these girls are tough.
Right.
They know what they're doing.
Yes.
And then meanwhile, Shampoo is going to Ranma, like, because they do a thing where, like, Shampoo's talking about Ranma, like, okay, I need to make sure that, like, they don't see Ranma as a girl. I need to show them that Ranma's the coolest, manliest man around. And then just hard cut to, like, Ranma, like, flirting with the guy selling takoyaki so that he could get an extra takoyaki. Like, please, sir, can I get another one? Oh, here you go, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, yummy. Just playing it all up, doing the whole thing, and like Akane's making fun of him for that, and Rama's just like, what do I care? Free food. So it's not a big deal. But then Shampoo shows up with the tea kettle, and she's just like, okay, new rule. You can't be a girl ever. Okay?
So
what's up, Shampoo?
They know how Ramen looks like? I guess Shampoo sent him a picture or something?
Well, they do imply that her sisters were there on the day that Ranma and his dad went to the Amazon village in China. Because if you recall, when they met Shampoo, it was like a big tournament for the whole village.
Okay, that makes
sense. I guess her sisters were just somewhere in that crowd watching the tournament.
Yeah.
So the timeline here is that Ling Ling and Lang Lang, they saw this humiliation. I can't believe this Ranma girl mistreated our sister. Oh, she's gonna get it. Well, anyways, back to our training. Because we're still children, we're not allowed to leave until we finish our training. But now, an unknown amount of time later, they finished. They're free to go and be warriors. And the first thing they want to do is help out their sister. Because it's been months, and she still hasn't killed this Ranma person. This Ranma girl must be very strong. We need to unite and help out our big sister. Like, they're treated as these overexcited children. Because, again, they've been training their whole lives. This is their first time going out into the field and, like, getting into real fights. We want to fight. Let's go.
Real martial arts combat.
Yeah. So midway through, they're doing the whole thing. They're like, okay, Ranma, just all you have to do is just don't turn into a girl, because they don't know that as far as they're concerned, Ranma is just the mystery girl that showed up at the tournament. They won't recognize boy Ranma. But then the extra problem came in where Cologne is like, now hold on 1 minute here. The sisters, last I checked before we left China, they were practicing the dance of the fire dragon technique, which is a special dance that you need 2 people to do. And since they're twins, that's what they decided to practice. That is a really dangerous move. If they finished their training and they're here already, that implies that they're way ahead of where I expected them to be. These girls must be real tough.
Okay.
And we got these issues where, like, so the one thing I don't like about the Ling Ling and Long Long episodes, they treat the kiss of death like it's a slap on the wrist. Like, it doesn't matter. So the problem is that Ling Ling and Long Long, like I said, they're just going around town picking fights, because that's what they want to do. They're just overexcited little children. Eventually, They're like, ooh, here's another dojo. It's called the Tendo Dojo. Let's challenge the people there.
Oh, no.
So then they meet Son and Genma just happens to be in panda form. And they're like, hey, wait a minute. We see that panda before.
Yeah.
Hold on. So like Ranma and Shampoo and Akane are like, okay, I guess we'll just stay out of trouble. Everything will be fine. And then Genma comes out and just dumps hot water on Ranma. It's like, Ranma, you are not running away from children. Go fight them now. Like, what are you talking about? And then the sisters are like, we had a talk with Smelly Panda Man. We know what's up. You're not gonna lie to us. So it's like, okay, I guess we gotta fight. And then this is where we get a little subplot where, like, Shampoo is like, no, Ranma is my fiancé. I love him. I will not let you kill him. And then she gives her sisters the kiss of death, which is like, whoa.
Yeah. You can't do that.
And it's treated with, like, huge gravitas. Cologne is like, oh no. Even I didn't think that Shampoo loved Ranma this much, that she is willing to, like, have this duel to the death with her own family. She's basically disowning Ling Ling and Long Long, which, like, it is a big deal. But also, if you recall in the Shampoo episode, Shampoo just kind of does that. Like, she gave Akane the kiss of death and then immediately forgot about it. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Which, like, I don't know. You'd think Cologne would comment on that. This is also, I think, the only time in the series that they acknowledge that Shampoo doesn't really train or take martial arts very seriously. Because when Cologne is saying, like, hold on, if Ling Ling and Long Long finished their training already, that means they're doing really good. And Shampoo has kind of gotten rusty, if I'm being honest here. Like, Cologne is taking this seriously, which just raises the question of, like, well, if Shampoo's not really doing her best, that doesn't seem like something Cologne would be okay with. She'd probably be like, Shampoo, you need to get your act together. But, like, no, it's just like, okay, now the sisters are gonna fight, and they're gonna do the dance of the fire dragon, which is what I said, where they're doing, like, the henshin poses and the big special effects, which they do eventually bring back in their second episode. And, the big punchline, like, Ranma and Akane show up to help Shampoo, and she's already, like, on the ground, scorched up. She's like, Ranma, you have to run. And they're like, oh no, we have to fight them. And it's like, and now our ultimate technique. And then they start playing some music and pull out this, like, paper mache dragon. It's just like, you know, the little, like, parade dragons that they swoosh around?
Wait, the ones with, like, the head on the stick?
Yeah, the little, like, dancing dragons on the stick that you swoosh around in, like, a parade or a festival or something.
Yeah, it's like line dancing, right? Like Chinese line dancing.
Yeah, like those.
Yeah.
Imagine one of those, but, like, made by 10-year-olds. Just this really shitty, like, stupid little dragon on a stick, and they're like, yeah, fire dragon, woo! Just this extremely low-quality dragon thing. But the actual problem is, they're playing music.
Right.
and they're doing something. Cologne gives some kind of like nonsense martial arts explanation about how it's like using fight energy to like control your movements, and it compels you to dance. And that's how they defeated Shampoo, because they basically attached a flamethrower to their little dragon. And it's like, okay, she's dancing, go. Which I just thought was funny. Because they're building up this whole thing, like the dance of the dragon, and then it's just they pull out a flamethrower, and that's about it. So we get a little like double team. Ranma and Akane have to fight them. I love this sequence because it's so stupid. It helps that this is like one of like 3 episodes where they use the specific cover of the opening theme that I use for this podcast.
Oh,
that cover isn't in any of the soundtracks. I had to find a copy off of YouTube, and I don't know where they got it from because it only appeared in like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're making them dance. It's so goofy because they're like, okay, all you gotta do is cover your ears. Wait, now I can't use my arms. Hold on, oh shoot, I moved my hand. Now I'm dancing again. Oh shoot, okay, Akane, cover my ears. No, Akane, hold still. I can't, I'm dancing too. Just like them trying to like awkwardly shuffle around, trying to avoid hearing the music. At one point, Ranma just puts Akane on his shoulders and they just go in this like Mecha Shiva formation.
Yeah.
So that they can like block the music while Ranma can still awkwardly use his arms. And it's just an absurd fight because all this build up for Ling Ling and Long Long, and it turns out they're not actually strong, they're just impatient, and they're just like, we'll just bring out a flamethrower and shoot everyone. And Cologne's like, I can't believe the girls have mastered the dance of the dragon. These are child prodigies. They're so powerful. But yeah, eventually they defeat the sisters and they do a gimmick. At this point, the girls still don't know that Ranma can turn into a boy. So when they're defeated, they're like, I can't believe now we lost to Ranma. And that does it. We don't care about Shampoo anymore. We'll give you the kiss of death. And Ranma just like pours hot water himself and is like, no, I'm not even a girl. Look. And they're like, oh, well, I guess we'll give the marriage kiss then. Okay, we gotta marry him now. They're like, no, that's not how that works.
Oh.
And just a goofy thing where now all 3 sisters are like fighting for Ranma. And then it literally cuts to the next scene where like Ranma and Akane are like, well, it's a good thing they explained it to those girls that it's first come, first served, and then they went back to China and we now never have to deal with them again. It really feels like they just tacked on like a little extra 2 minutes at the end. It feels like that was supposed to be the final punchline, is all the girls fighting over Ranma, but then they were like, okay, let's not mess with the canon too much. Let's just have an awkward scene where it's like, and then they left and they're no longer a problem. There are no more fiancés. Everything was explained and all the misunderstanding was clear. Everything worked out. And just like at the last second, their wall gets broken and these 2 new girls show up. And they're like, where's this Ranma? We're gonna kill her. We're gonna get revenge. And then Shampoo's like, oh no, Ranma, my cousins are in town. We have to do something. And that's the end of that episode. And as I said, they eventually bring back Ling Ling and Lang Lang. And it's more or less the same episode. Because most of the episode, there's a lot of the episode is Ling Ling and Lang Lang. They came back and they're just going around town fighting people. But this time they have a different objective. Because see, the second time they come back, once again, they are impatient. They are children. They basically concluded, hey, Shampoo, it's been like 2 months or so since we were last here, and you still haven't defeated Ranma. You're still not married to Ranma. So clearly there's something up here. So we actually investigated and we found out that Ranma has like 5 fiancés? What's up with that? That's messed up. So we figured that must be what's giving you so much trouble is you have all this competition. So we've come here to defeat all the other fiancés so that you'll be the only one left and then you could win. That we're here to help, Shampoo. We're gonna do our best. So this time, they're here to fight everyone except Ranma.
Oh, but this only the female fiancés, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's more or less the same thing. They're just going around fighting people. This time they say they have perfected their dance. This time they have the dance of the phoenix, and they're fighting other people. At one point, like Ryoga shows up. He's like, "Hey, Ranma, how come I hear you're doing stuff with Shampoo? Why aren't you being more faithful? You need to treat Akane better." And Ranma's like, yeah, hold on 1 second. Hey, girls, have you met Ryoga?" And he just pushes him in front of them and leaves. And then later Ryoga shows up and he's all beat up. He's like, "You must run, Akane. They're after you. They're after Ranma's fiancés." And this episode does something that I do wish we got more of. Akane gets to fight.
Oh.
Akane just gets a proper fight. She has to duel with Layla and Long Long together.
Yeah, he stops fighting quite early on into the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, they do a thing where, like, so the girls show up and, like, they find Ranma. They're like, "Where do you think you're going?" "No, we're not done here." And Ranma's like, "Uh-oh." And then it cuts to Akane and she meets Ryoga and he warns her. And the sisters show up. They're like, "Hey, we have kidnapped Ranma. If you want to save him, you better be here by sundown and we're gonna duel." And then she goes there. And then we literally see Ranma with this big giant like picnic blanket just eating a bunch of food. He's like, "Wow, those girls are so nice." This is great. I wonder where they went as we literally see them fighting Akane in the background. But yeah, like a good third of this episode is just an actual fight between Akane and the two twins, which is like, okay, that's pretty cool. And it does end with more or less the same joke. Because they're like, "Oh, looks like we're now going to have to use our ultimate technique. Behold, the dance of the phoenix." And then this time they pull out this, like, shitty little, like, flying toy helicopter thing shaped like a phoenix that they have to, like, paddle with their little tricycles, like, squeaky, 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 squeaky. They're just like, "Behold the wrath of the phoenix! Squeaky, 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 squeaky." And it's just more goofy shenanigans, just more like we just taped a flamethrower onto this tricycle and then launched it into the air so that we could flap its wings. Just goofy contraptions. That seems to be Ling Ling and Long Long's style. Is just this like a bunch of duct tape and wooden boards. Just make a thing that looks like an ancient mythical monster.
Yeah, because wasn't Shampoo's original fighting style, or whatever it was, weapons based? It was less martial arts. Besides the Shampoo memory washing a little bit, he came in bursting through a wall with like dumbbells, right?
Yeah. She can't do hand-to-hand combat, but whenever she has to do like a serious fight, she does use those weapons, which I don't know the names of, but they're like, yeah, the big round weights on a stick. Those seem to be her signature weapon.
So, not on par, but like keeping up with the theme, it would be Ling and Longline would have weapons-based training, or at least like their main combat abilities involve something with a weapon. It won't just be hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, they do have spears, by the way. They got little pole spears.
Oh, okay.
So they do use weapons, but like they're still children, so when they're pushed to the limit and like it's time for our ultimate technique, which often involves like they're just like kids next door characters. Oh, yeah, just like here's cool. This dumb little like dragon or phoenix that we just sort of taped together with whatever junk we had lying around. At one point, they're like, "Oh no, they've defeated. We must use our final attack," and then they just pull out a big giant like wooden cutout of a phoenix, and they're just kind of like shaking as they like grab onto the top, and it's like all wobbly, and they're like, "And now we use the final oh no!" And then it falls over, and it turns out that's how they defeated Ryoga. Is their contraption collapsed, and he got crushed by it, and that's how they defeated him. And like it almost defeats Akane, but they do make it out in the end, and they're just like wobbly-eyed cartoon characters, and we just get the final punchline where Akane's just like talking to Cologne, and is like, "I thought you said this was like an ancient like 1,000-year-old technique," and Cologne's just like, things change. You know, it used to be more impressive.
Guess it got passed down as more of a children's folklore or something.
Yeah. Somebody decided that Ling Ling and Long Long's training was complete and they were free to go visit their sister in Japan.
Yeah.
So like, good enough. It technically was enough to defeat Ryoga. So like,
Maybe they were really mischievous over there and they just wanted to get rid of them. It's like, okay, yeah, you're done now. You can just go off and do whatever you want.
They do seem like they're so impatient and mischievous that yes, I would not be surprised if it's just like, just go. Just leave us for like a couple of weeks. But yeah, I do feel that Legonet and Long Long do feel like at home with the main cast. Like I said, the 2 episodes are more or less the same thing and they kind of blend together. I do still think it's cute. I think it's funny that they pull out these dumb little contraptions and they're still like, they act tough and they are tough, but also they're still children. So it's often just really goofy nonsense, like we're just gonna tape a flamethrower to this thing and just shoot you with it. And that's the ancient Amazon technique that's been passed down for thousands of years. I think that's a pretty funny joke. It does feel like something Rumiko Takahashi might write.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Now quick question, is there any manga-specific grab bag topics that cross your mind? I mean, it seems like most of this is just based off the anime, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of the time, if there's a one-off character in the manga, they're not coming back.
Right.
And the few that do only came back because of filler in the anime. There are a couple of one-off manga characters that got more appearances as filler villains or something, which, again, very different to how the manga does it. In the manga, if you are not a like recurring rival character, you're pretty much never coming back. We're not going to acknowledge you again. Whereas the anime occasionally tries to have this consistency. I've rewatched a bunch of episodes and I thought it was really funny how so many of them, when the character comes back, it's literally like, oh hey, it's that person, and that's it. They don't bother explaining to the audience who this is. It's just like, hey, Ranma, look, it's Centauro. Remember him? Let's go hang out with him. You look like you have something to say.
Yeah.
Look, it's Azusa Shiratori. Remember her? Let's go check her out. Like, so many of these, like, filler episodes bring back a manga character, like, not even a manga character, just any character. And it's just like, oh, hey, look, it's that person. And that's the only recap you get. They're like, hey, it's Malmolin, the ghost cat. Like, yeah, sure. If that's your first time seeing that character, you're like, why not? Why wouldn't there be a ghost cat just hanging around town? But yeah, the manga didn't really do that. Which, I don't know. I feel like there are a couple that could have been brought back, but that's just not what Rumiko Takahashi wrote.
Yeah, just not what she had in mind, so I guess creative liberties were taken. In terms of filler in anime, which is kind of like, is it more interesting with what the anime did, or would it be more interesting in maybe what Rumiko Takahashi could have wrote? But again, seems like, but both separating that manga and anime, they both seem like very possible storylines, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I feel like like Rumiko Takahashi wrote like a lot of very weak one-off characters. A lot of her one-off random characters that only appear for like one chapter are just like, yeah, who cares? Whatever, that's not important. Or like they're characters that had potential, but then she just never brought them back.
Right.
And then, meanwhile, with the anime, I feel like in general, the quality of these filler episodes isn't as good, but the concepts are often like, yeah, it's funny. I like that. As far as like a cartoon show that I just watch every Friday or something, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's bring back that character. What's the worst that could happen? You know? And if it doesn't pay off, there's like 160 of these episodes. I'm not expected to watch all of them. I'm expected to just tune in next week. It's like 1990. It's not like I can go back and watch the old episodes unless they come back on a rerun. So, like, I'm not expected to know these characters. I'm not expected to think too hard when they're like, hey, look, it's Kogane. Remember her, Ranma? And if I'm an audience member going like, who? The show is just like too bad. Just go with the flow. Who cares?
Man, watching this live broadcast, now I'm thinking about it, must be really confusing. Where if you're tuning in like every week or whenever like the date the anime is scheduled, you'll be like, oh, maybe I missed a week. And then next week they're introducing like a filler character, and you're like, "Oh man, I really missed a week. I have no idea what's going on."
Yeah, but also like this is a sitcom, you know. You're like again, you're not expected to think too hard when it's like, "Oh hey, it's that guy."
Right.
And just go with the flow. Like the anime isn't trying to be like add this extra continuity or lore. It's just like, well, we already have this joke. Let's just make another episode out of it. We got to have something. We need like 10 more episodes this season. So just throw whatever. And when they throw whatever at the wall, sometimes you get stinkers. But even the worst episodes are still sometimes like, I like that idea. Like again, I thought the kick the can concept was cute. The idea of just like, yeah, every 10 years, Hopposai and his friend group are just like, yeah, let's just meet up somewhere and just duke it out, just for old time's sake. That seems like a cute idea that didn't really go anywhere in that particular episode, but they could have done something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ling Ling and Long Long are the same. They're like, it's a cute concept. You could do a lot more with her sisters. I think they're funny enough that they could have kept coming back. But again, they're not from the manga, so like, they didn't really rely on that too much. But like, I feel like if Rumiko Takahashi had characters like that, she would come up with funny ideas. Basically, I wish Rumiko Takahashi would write stories about some of these anime characters instead of some of the one-off characters that she made.
Yeah, maybe just work closer with the anime story. I mean, it all in all, it seems like they both have good ideas. It's just like one decides to go, in one direction, and the other decides to go in the other, and it's a shame that there's not too many cohesion in more of the filler episodes. Which I guess you can't really like, like you said, just throwing stuff against the wall, see what sticks. But yeah, I guess like we're disappointed in to see there's no furthermore of, oh yeah, this concept was pretty interesting, or like these characters were pretty interesting that were introduced. But yeah, that's all you're gonna get. Tune in next week, and then we're gonna discover what other Kick the Can 2, Kick a Canoning or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the general thing. I think I got time for a couple more of these examples.
Yeah.
There are a couple here because, like I said, I feel like some of these characters, they do fit in well. And I'm like, yeah, I bet if Rumiko, you know what, if she did steal, going back to the thing about her potentially making Pink and Link in the manga in response to Ling Ling and Long Long, I think Ling Ling and Long Long are much better characters than Pink and Link. Pink and Link are just kind of there to create this comedic scenario that Ranma and Shampoo are in. They're plot devices. Whereas Ling and Long Long, they have their own personalities, they have their own goals that are different from other characters. They change up the dynamic a little. And I think that's what makes them stronger characters. And like, if I would have preferred for Rumiko Takahashi to just steal these characters. Just like, too bad, they're mine now. I'll just make these characters in the manga instead of making characters that are similar but also kind of different and not as good. Because similarly, I don't think Rakyosai is as fun a character as Chigensai. Because Rakyosai is basically just Happosai again, whereas Chigensai, he's got a lot more hair. He's the old man design where he's like just a big bunch of hair, like a big beard, his big bushy eyebrows, and he comes across as way more jolly. He's just a fun guy, because again, that episode ended with him being like, yo, Happosai, is that you? Hey, how's it going? Just like a fun, cheery dude. I think he's more fun to bring back as opposed to like when Rumiko Takahashi made a childhood friend of Happosai's, again, similar to Pink and Link. The character himself didn't have much going. He was just sort of a plot device. He is here to create a new wacky scenario for Ranma to have to deal with, whereas his own personality and goals are just kind of one note.
Yeah, it's mainly for the plot, not for writing a specific character. This is like, okay, we're gonna move along. This is kind of what, what your bare minimum you're gonna get, and that's about it. Rather than centering the story around the character.
Yeah, and so like, while I think like the episode writing for some of these episodes, these filler content are not as good. Again, it varies because there's more people working on the show, but in general, the stories aren't as well written. And the jokes aren't as funny, but like the characters are a lot more interesting.
Right.
So I'm like, if you could just take the best of both worlds, because Rumiko Takahashi is a lot funnier, and she's a lot punchier. She knows how to do stuff with a concept more often than not, but also she's the type of person where she doesn't have an idea, she'll just drop it and ignore it. Again, Dr. Tofu just stopped showing up.
Yeah.
So, like, neither the manga nor the anime, I feel, are perfect in this regard, which is why I always found it frustrating when people, like with the remake coming out, I saw so many, like, previews being about, like, this is going to be a faithful adaptation, and it's not going to have a ton of filler like the original anime. And I'm like, but the manga also had a ton of filler in it, and some of it wasn't good. So, like, I don't know, I don't like this implication that, like, Rumiko Takahashi's vision is perfect and there's no need to change anything. 'Cause, like, yeah, some of the best parts of the anime are things that take concepts from the manga and then expand upon them in interesting ways. And sometimes it's just a one-off character. It's just, hey, remember this guy? Well, he's back. And it's just like, oh, that's neat. And that's it. Very simple. They don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. They just kind of, they're more willing to just have a goofy idea and not care if it doesn't matter. Again, because they probably have a much stricter pipeline of we need this many episodes by the end of the month. But, like, yeah, sometimes you get stinkers from that, and other times you just have a wacky, fun comedy. So, if we got time for, like, one more example, I'm looking at the list.
Yeah, what do you think's the best one for this last one?
I got one that's interesting.
Okay.
Because he's got a bit more to him. So there's a character who appeared in an episode of the anime, and I don't know if he's based on someone from the manga. So, in the manga, there was a storyline where Tatsuaki Kuno buys a phoenix egg, and then the phoenix grows and attacks the whole neighborhood. Do you remember that story?
Vaguely, was it, it was like
in the middle of the manga, right?
Yeah, it got adapted into one of the OAVs. So
And
it was a
yeah.
big. So a lot more people are familiar with that one.
Hold on, I'm trying to remember specifics. It was like was it like a school festival thing, or like it was a school involvement, or he just found the phoenix egg?
No, he goes to an antique shop and the antique store salesman sells him this egg.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because there is a character in the anime that looks almost identical to that antique store salesman that only appeared for like 3 pages.
Right.
And he otherwise has nothing in common with them. So I'm like, did they just make a generic old man? Because he's got a pretty plain design. He just looks like an old man with a mustache. Like pretty simple design. It could be a coincidence. But whether it's a coincidence or not, I think they ran with it because when it came time to adapt the Phoenix Egg storyline, in fact, I'm curious, when did the episode come out? Now I'm curious. I should have done this math sooner. Hold on. 91. Huh. But now I would need to look up when that manga chapter came out. Yeah, the printed volume at least came out in 94.
Okay.
Okay. So hold on, let me roll back a little bit. So there's this character, I'm not sure if he's the same character as someone from the manga. It's weird. So in that Phoenix story, there's just some guy. And he's there for like 3 pages.
Okay.
He looks almost identical to Toramasa, a character from the anime. And again, he's just an old man. It could be a coincidence. Of note, I'm pretty sure they gave him the same voice actor. When that Phoenix storyline was adapted, and they gave him a bigger role. Now he's present throughout the whole story, just kind of commenting on goofy things. But also weird is that in the manga, that guy runs an antique shop, whereas the anime character is someone who works at the school. So again, I don't even know if these are meant to be the same character or not. But anyways, regardless, he's got a weird history with that, depending on if you count that, but he did at least appear in 2 episodes if you don't count the Phoenix Egg story. So there's this guy named Toramasa, and his gimmick is, you know Scruffy the janitor from Futurama?
Oh, yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, just like, who are you? I'm Scruffy, the janitor.
Yeah.
Just this guy who's like, I guess he works here. I've never seen him before, but someone's got to be the janitor, I guess. That's Toramasa, basically. Toramasa runs one of the student stores, except that, I say one of because they have the main student store, and then they have a second student store that's in one of the abandoned buildings that they don't use anymore.
Sorry, you brought up Scruffy, and the first thing to pop into mind is his sentient mop bucket developed feelings for him, and he rejected the mop bucket as I think it was a sex robot. I can't remember. All I remember was like the robot was like, "I love you, Scruffy," and the Scruffy's like, "No, we can't do this," and then he starts crying, and then like, "Oh yeah." I'd never seen Scruffy like this. I was like, oh, okay, I guess there's, like, a little more to the character.
They do fun stuff with Scruffy.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel they could have done fun stuff with Toramasa.
Right.
Because, like, his whole deal is, like basically there's this abandoned building that like, it's empty, they never use it, it's all dusty, and like, Ranma hears rumors there's a student store in there. It's like, why would there be a student store in the abandoned building no one goes into? Oh, cause it's haunted. And Ranma's like, yeah, I don't believe in that. And then spooky stuff happens. Most of this first episode is this mystery of like, what is going on here? But eventually it's revealed there's just this old guy who, I'm pretty sure he lives here. I'm pretty sure he just lives at the school. Because they go there and he's just got all these like little tatami mats and like a little bed and like some shelves. He's like, hey, come on in. Do you need something? I'm convinced that like this guy is just getting a paycheck due to some kind of clerical error and nobody knows he's still here. Because he's not doing anything. It's not like anyone goes to this part of the school. And like all of his stuff has been here for decades. Like, hey, you want a dumpling? And there's this box of like old moldy bread. He sells notebooks that like with calendars from like 1961 or something, and he's like, that's still good. You can still buy that.
Yeah.
And that's just this whole thing. He's just this old guy basically living in the school. It's like, what is this? No wonder people think it's haunted. He's just here. And a bunch of wacky shenanigans occur because it's implied that the school principal has beef with Toramasa and wants to chase him out. And he eventually recruits his son, Tatawaki Kuno, to, like, get involved. Except that backfires, because then Kuno ends up loving this Toramasa guy, because he's just a weird old man. He tells some of the most nonsensical stories. He's like, yes, fellow samurai. I used to be a samurai when I was young. We fought for the shogunate against the armies of Napoleon. And then one time we were going off to save the emperor, and when we got there, it was already being attacked by World War II bombers from America. Our army samurais were too slow. And Ramen Akane just like, that story literally makes no sense.
Oh.
But of course, Tatawaki Kuno is like, you were a samurai? You fought against Napoleon? So yeah, goofy stuff for most of the episode. In the end, it's revealed the reason the principal has beef with him, and maybe perhaps the reason he hasn't been fired yet, is because Toramasa has a copy of the principal's old report card from when he was a student, showing that he failed English, which may sound impossible, given that this guy is like all about Hawaii, and he loves America and is always sprinkling like gratuitous English in all of his sentences.
Right.
Shout outs to the one student. There's like one guy in the crowd who just has this reaction of like, I'm starting to think the principal isn't Hawaiian at all.
Yeah, it's getting unraveled. Maybe this whole shtick is to cover that he never passed English back when he was still in high school.
Yeah, so he tears it up, and then Toramasa pulls out copies. He's like, "Go ahead, I got the framed one back in my room. You'll never destroy it. Everyone will know." So Toramasa gets to stay, and like that's goofy, and like I don't know, the fact that the antique shop salesperson also interacts with Tatawaki Kuno is, again, I'm like, maybe it's a coincidence, but it could be a reference. I don't know. But also, if it is, like, Rumiko Takahashi doesn't just steal character design, she steals a gimmick, maybe? Like, here's another set of twins, but they're still different twins.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy is just, she just drew another old man that already looks like an old man that was in the anime. And other than that, they have nothing in common aside from both interacting with this one character. It's just so fascinating to think that, like, maybe this character was stolen. If so, I don't think he was stolen. If he was stolen, I don't think she made good use of him. It could have just been a minor cameo, but either way, it's just like, I like Toramasa. I think he's a goofy character, even if, again, I like the character, but the episode itself is just kind of weak. It's not as funny. But, like, you could do stuff with him. Honestly, I feel like, in general, I would have preferred if we got more characters from the school. Like, just more weirdos at school. Because we eventually got the principal and their teacher, and that's it.
Yeah, two things. Toramasa is drawn like Happosai. Is that what I'm leading to think? Because all the old people are either like shrunken and short and like a little like chihuahua.
Toramasa is drawn with normal, realistic proportions for an
Okay.
old man.
Yeah, because usually I'm thinking of old people as like the over 300 years old, and they're usually really short and chibi-esque. Yeah.
Yeah. Chigensai, he's got Happosai proportions, for
Right.
example. But
Yeah.
not Toramasa.
Yeah.
Toramasa just looks like a normal old man.
Cool. Glad to clear that up. Oh yeah. Secondly, like you said, different high school or just more people from high school. I remember that one guy way early on when it was introduced that Rama knows the cat fist. That one guy that pushed all those cats onto Rama. What happened to him? Because as far as I remember, he's just gone after the whole catfish saga.
Yeah, Gosen Kuki is who you're talking about. Fun fact, he's related to this next set of episodes I'm going to bring up.
Okay.
Cause see, Gosen Kuki's a weird one, cause the anime skipped him, and then the manga just kind of ignored him for like 100 chapters, and then brought him back for like 2 more stories. He doesn't get much. But when he got brought back in the manga, the anime decided to retroactively reintroduce him to the anime canon. Like, they made a filler episode establishing Gosen Kugi. Like the Catfist arc, they just
Yeah.
removed him from that. He just
Really?
wasn't in it.
Huh.
Yeah. It was just a Tatuaki Kuno thing. And they, anytime he needed to interact with someone, they had him interact with his ninja butler, which was a new character to the anime. So they're like, well, we don't need Gosen Kugi for this, I guess, which
Interesting.
is why they skipped him.
Yeah.
But then they brought him back. They made a filler episode introducing him, and then they did like the manga stuff plus other filler episodes. They're like, hey, new character. We can make more episodes. So like the last 2 seasons, like there's a bunch of Gosen Kugi episodes in those. He got way more love in those, which is just funny given that they initially skipped him because he was so unimportant at the start.
Right. No, that is interesting. I never watched the anime, so I would not have known that he was ever even brought back, other than his quick introduction and with the whole catfish.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So Toramasa comes back in another episode that introduces another filler-only character. And then that character comes back in a 3rd episode where she comes back and she gets paired up with Gosen Kugi, who was recently, like I said, reintroduced into the anime. So like these 3 filler episodes kind of intersect, sort of. You're kind of expected to know who these characters are, which I think is interesting. It's interesting that, like, Toramasa comes back, and he's here while a second character is getting introduced. And then that second character later interacts with another filler character who was originally from the manga, but they skipped him, but then they brought him back in filler form. It's this little web of filler characters that they're just sort of making interact with each other, which I'm surprised they didn't do more of. Because if they're going to bring back filler characters, why not? Why not have Ling Ling and Long Long interact with other characters? You could do that. But yeah, this interesting trio of episodes. So Toramasa comes back in an episode that introduces us to Kogane, the ghost. She's just a ghost that lives at the school.
Okay.
And that's her whole thing. It is comically ridiculous how everyone just immediately is like, oh, it's a ghost. And then they just proceed to go on about their business. They're like, oh, it's scary. She's scary. Like, because she likes to play little pranks. She's like, I will curse you or whatever. But other than that, it's just like, yeah, it's just a ghost. Toramasa is in this episode because at the start we find out that Akane bought a notebook from him, but it's super old, and also it was used. But again, he's the type of guy who's like, yeah, it's still good. Look, you just gotta rip out these pages and it's good as new.
Right.
But then it turns out this notebook is haunted because it belonged to this dead girl. and they accidentally summon Kogane. And they're like, whoa, it's a scary ghost. We're getting out of here. Including Tatewaki Kuno. I do like that at the start of the episode, like, Ranma and Tatewaki Kuno are already in Torimasa's store. They're just hanging out there. You know, it's empty. Nobody comes here. We're just having a chat with the old man. He tells funny stories. I think that's cute. Again, I do like when they show some, like, solidarity between the students against the weirdo adults.
Yeah.
But yeah, they leave, and then when Ranma and Akane go home, Kogane just follows them. And it's just like, oh, hey, it's the ghost girl. How's it going? Like I said, it's almost weird how quickly they're just like, I guess we're just being haunted now. I guess she's just following us. Like, she sits down at the table and just stares at their bowls of food. And Zone is like, hey, can we get another bowl? Kasumi, can we get another bowl here? Oh, thank you, mister. She just starts eating the rice. Like, I guess we just have a ghost in the house now.
Right.
And that's like half the episode is just weird shenanigans of this creepy ghost. Like, they go into the bathroom at night and she's just taking a bath in the dark with, like, the floating, like, fire spirits around her, and then they get scared and she's like, I'm sorry, I get nervous. Just weird. Like, she's just a ghost. She's just here now. But then the second half is, this must have been really difficult to translate into English. Because basically, when she appears, when she gets summoned, she's singing a little like kind of like a little hopscotch song. Like, just a little, like, playground song that kids sing. You know those types.
Yeah. Thinking of one. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and just, like, it just seems random, but eventually they conclude that, like, oh, it's a riddle. And, like, a lot of it is based on, like, double meanings and puns. So I'm like, whenever they bring up the riddle and say, like, oh, it's because of this, I'm just like, sure, whatever you say. I'm just gonna assume there is something being done with the Japanese that makes sense here. Because they just take weird leaps in logic of, like, oh, we're supposed to go to the hill behind the school. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever you say. I'm sure something in that poem makes sense in Japanese. I don't know what it is. But yeah, because, like, eventually they're like, hey, ghost girl, like, not that we mind you or anything, but, like, is there a reason you're here? Is there a reason you're haunting us? And she's just like, I don't remember, but I feel like I lost something important. So they're trying to solve the riddle because they think that would be the solution. Meanwhile, Tatewaki Kudo, again, I assume this makes sense in Japanese, but he deciphers the riddle and then looks into the school's history and then concludes that the shrine behind the school is where Imperial Japanese troops buried their secret treasure.
Imperial, as in, like, this is ancient Japan?
No, Imperial, like the Japanese Empire, like World War II era.
Oh, okay.
So, like, this, it's like the equivalent of him being like, I think there's secret Nazi gold buried here. We should steal it. I mean, it's not like they're using it.
Yeah.
Let's just take it. And again, all of this is because of this riddle, which I assume is filled with double meanings in Japanese, because it doesn't really make sense in English. But yeah, there's a lot of, like, weird, like, oh, there's a secret, like, tunnel underneath the shrine. Here's a cave filled with booby traps. Just, like, half the episode is just weird, what's the movie again? What's the Steal the Declaration of Independence?
Ooh,
National Treasure.
Okay.
Half the episode is just, like, National Treasure nonsense of all these traps. And the punchline is they get to the end and they find a secret contraption and it just opens back to the school and they're just back in Torimasa's shop. He's like, oh, hey, what's up? Which, like,
Huh.
I don't know what this implies about the school's history. If apparently it was built around World War II, I guess, given this whole history with like Imperial Japanese treasure that was maybe built here. But then Toramasa reveals the actual solution to the riddle. It turns out, it was just a promotion for these special little dolls that came for free if you bought one of his notebooks. And he's like, I think I still got one of these left. He just dusts it off, and then Kogane's like, that's it! That's the thing I lost! Thank you!
Oh.
So this elaborate riddle, which it did involve actual secret tunnels. I don't know why they're there. I guess, I don't know, maybe when she was alive, she went on this journey and then found her way into the student store. I was like, well, while I'm here, I may as well buy a notebook and get this free teddy bear.
Right.
But yeah, that's her introduction. At the end of the episode, she's like, and now I can move on. Goodbye! And then she just kind of disappears, and that's kind of the end of the episode. Just like, well, that was weird, but okay. Ghosts.
Cool.
And then eventually we get another episode where Kogane comes back, and she gets into a romantic relationship with Gosen Kugi.
Huh.
So again, these like intertangled filler episodes.
Yeah, this is almost an arc now.
But like, I think this is cute. Toramasa isn't in this one, but Kogane does come back. Where like, they do a thing where it's the Oban festival. So she gets to come back from
Right.
the world of to the world of the living for one night, and is just here to have fun. And then, while this is happening, Gosen Kugi is just underneath the floorboards stalking Akane, because that's just a thing he does. And eventually he sees Kogane, and they're like, "Oh hey, Gosen Kugi, have you met our friend, the ghost girl?" Like, again, everyone's just so nonchalant about this. If you didn't see that previous episode, literally a ghost appeared, and Akane's like, "Oh look, it's Kogane, our friend!" And that's it. That's the only introduction you get. You're like, I guess they're
Right.
just friends with ghosts. But yeah, so half the episode is basically like Gosen Kugi is introduced to Kogane, and then they go on a date at the festival. And it's cute because Gosen Kugi kind of has a weird like occult theme going on. Like he's got the voodoo dolls that he like stamps with like pictures of Ranma on it. He lights the candles. He's that kind of nerd.
Oh yeah, he did do that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot he did that.
So like, makes sense to pair him up with the ghost. Like, he takes her on a date to the graveyard, and she's like, "I love it here." He's like, "Wow, I never thought I'd meet a girl who would enjoy the same things as me." But yeah, they do that, but the problem, of course, is that she's a ghost. So, she's only here for one night. And they have this whole thing where, like, stuff happens, the wind blows out the candles that they need to send her back, and it's like she will be consumed by evil spirits if she doesn't go back to the world of the dead. So then they have to fight evil ghost spirits, which is like, okay, if you're a fan of Gosen Kugi, this is maybe a good episode for you. I don't know how many fans he has, but he's in the remake now, so maybe he's got some new ones.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, out of like all the other side characters, it's not. I don't know. He doesn't really struck out to me. I mean, he's kind of interesting,
Yeah.
in just like how he can like mess with Rama or like the main cast. But other than that,
Yeah.
he's just another one of the side characters.
Yeah, again, his role was so small that the anime just skipped him. He was that easy to replace. But they eventually brought him back, and I do feel like the writers of the later seasons of the anime had more respect for him than they did for a lot of characters, because like he got a lot of filler episodes. He appeared in a fair amount. Despite only being in the last 2 seasons, he appears in about as many episodes as characters like Kodachi or something. Like,
Right.
not like the main cast like Ryoga or Shampoo, but like the bottom rung of the rivals. That's where he sits on in terms of the anime. He caught up. They did stuff with him. So like I don't know. Maybe people who watched only the anime might have fans of his, but like this is a rare episode. I remember once commenting, it's kind of funny, they put him in one of the fighting games. Which is like, okay, all the fighting games had like at least one weirdo pick. Even the first one put the school principal as a playable character. So like they always have like a weird, like the freak picks, when you have your
Right,
fighting
yeah.
game, you got the main characters, but we'll have a weirdo in there. So one of them had Ghost and Kugi. And just, again, he's got the voodoo dolls, he's got the candles and doing stuff, even though he never fights anyone in the show. Um, except for this episode. He joins in fighting the evil spirits. He pulls out the candles, he pulls out the wooden stake and the hammer, and he helps Ranma defeat the evil spirits. And like he jumps in the way to protect Kogane. And it's he gets his chance to just have a big cool hero moment. He gets to be cool in front of his temporary girlfriend, basically. And it's just like, yeah, let Ghost and Kugi do stuff, is what this episode is.
So I'm still thinking about the freak pick. Like he was in the fighting game, but he's not like Dan, right? He's not like a joke character. He's just like one of like a weird pick.
Yeah. Yeah, because like these were on the Super Nintendo, so like it was easier to just give a character a moveset. They didn't care about like the canon of the series. It's just here's the gambling king. He just throws a card at you and it does damage. Who cares? Like it's just
Yeah.
we could give a moveset to anyone.
Right.
Oh, but either way, he does get to do stuff, and eventually they do a little thing where they use a bunch of fireflies to substitute for the candles that got blown out so that she could ascend back to the world of the dead. And it's this, I'm almost frustrated by this ending because like they have some serious moments. Like in the middle of the episode, like he and Kogane have this like almost fight over the fact that like she's a ghost, we can't be together, and then he runs off upset. And Akane's like, hey, I'll talk to Kogane. You talk to Ghost and Kugi. Like, they're our friends. Let's talk them through this. And, like, Rama goes to Ghost and Kugi and gives him a pep talk. Like, hey, buddy, how you holding up? Like, they treat this as a serious thing, and they have a big goodbye moment. And again, he gets to be a hero and protect her from the
Right.
evil spirits. It's this whole big ending where he's like, I'll miss you. And he looks sad. He just looks off into the night sky. It's like, poor Ghost and Kugi. And then we get like a 30-second epilogue scene at the end where he's just back to stalking Akane. Of like, well, no more ghosts, girlfriend. I guess it's back to this. And it's just back to the usual, back to the status quo. This was a filler episode, so don't expect this to have lasting impact, which is like, okay, that's a little lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of that little weird mini arc. Just these 3 episodes that have like no connection with each other, but they're still kind of weirdly connected in the characters that they choose.
Yeah, I guess this is as grab bag as we can get. I mean, these are all side characters with their own like almost mini arcs in the anime.
Yeah. This is why I picked ones that come back in like 2 episodes, cuz like there's other like one-off characters that only appear once, but when they appear twice, that's when like it's not always successful, but there is some attempt to do something with the character beyond just introducing them and then saying goodbye to them immediately. Which is why I thought this was a fun little gimmick. Like, this episode was chosen at random. You didn't know what the Kick the Can episode was gonna be. And honestly, Chigensai is maybe the weakest one of these, because he's only present in the Kick the Can episode for like the last 5 minutes when it's revealed that these are all Hoppelsai's old friends. And it's like, oh hey, there's that guy. We met one of these guys before. It's neat that they're like, well, these are just filler characters, but we will have this, like, serious drama for this one episode that we're then gonna immediately toss aside. But for the one moment, it's like, yeah, Ghost and Kugi, go him. He gets to have this moment. And I'm just like, yeah. Again, even if the episodes aren't always good, I still like most of these concepts. It feels like they're having fun with some of these episodes. And then there's episodes where they feel like they're just throwing out, just like, just throw out whatever. And there's a big difference between those two. But I feel like most of these episodes I broke down today are examples of the former, where they're like, hey, we got these characters, let's just do something interesting. Yeah, Shampoo has sisters, let's bring them back for another fun little romp. Who cares? Let's just have fun. That's what it feels like.
Okay.
But yeah, those are just a couple of these random one-off episodes. I'm glad to confirm there's plenty more where that came from, because looking at my notes, there's still a lot of stuff that I've never even hinted at. I never even talked about Copycat Ken, the kid that takes pictures of people and just copies them, or the haunted sword that possesses Tatewaki Kuno and he's possessed by the spirit of an ancient samurai. There's weird episodes.
Right.
But yeah, as far as this is concerned, I hope you enjoyed learning about some of these more obtuse things. Like, we have breakdowns of, like, main characters on this podcast, but I still enjoy just the random grab bag of, like, there's an episode where this happened. Because, if we're being honest here, a majority of the episodes are those. Most episodes are just goofy one-off stories. They're not, like, the actual main development arcs for the main characters. Most of the stuff that happens is just goofy villain of the week nonsense.
Yeah, that was something I mentioned I think earlier this episode isn't the bulk of Rama just hey, here's this either new character or a recurring character or just one of the main cast thrown into a silly situation and then hilarity ensues. It's not as much as I think we break down Shampoo, Rama, I don't know if this episode comes out. I think the Yukio episode will come out, but like the different characters and like how they interact and like what makes Rama Rama. Is it the martial arts? Is it the fashion? Is it the ancient Chinese drowned spring Jusenkios? Is it the character dynamics? Is it the high school? Is it what makes it tick? And I guess like the bulk of it is just random shenanigans in the setting of Rama, not anything more specific, right?
Yeah, people tend to not like filler, and I can't blame them because, like I said, there's some stinkers in there, and I can't blame people for not caring about those episodes. But like, that is what most of the series is. Again, this show started in the 80s. Like, you weren't meant to be able to go back and watch episodes that you missed. Even when they started putting them out on VHS tapes, that was still like 2 episodes per tape. You weren't expected to have the full complete collection unless you were insane. So like, you get whatever you tune in this week to find out. It's, the manga might be easier to get the volumes of, but that's still a lot. You weren't expected to get all of those either. You weren't expected to, know everything unless you just happened to follow along week after week since the series began and you just remembered it all. It's just how media was made back then. But like nowadays, when we can just like go back, like people are like, hey, I didn't watch this show from the 80s. Let me go back and watch Ranma. That's like 160 episodes. Most people are going to binge that. Most people are going to look at all this filler and be like, well, that is wasting my time. Those aren't the things I need to do. Those aren't the canon stories that I need to know. Therefore, I'm just going to skip them.
Right.
And that's just not really how these episodes were made or how you were expected to consume media in general.
Because, just want to interject here, I always thought, I think I always looked at Rama, not the manga, but like, I guess the anime, since I never watched it, as more of how you would consume a modern TV show where, it starts here, the character builds up here. Maybe there's like a season finale or a conclusion, or something just ends up wrapping up an arc, and then it will continue to build that story overall. And it's not. It's just I just keep seeing, oh, there's a bunch of side characters. There's a bunch of like random tangents and different side stories, or like, oh, here's like another like reason to get all the characters at a beach, or here's a reason to get characters in this eating contest. And I guess that kind of peeved me where, they never like advanced the story in any significant way where, either Rama or Akane's relationship, or like Ranma finding out like another secret like martial arts technique, or what Ryoga finally got up to, or something like that. But if I look at it in context of how I watched How I Met Your Mother, and where every episode is just the gang, devolving in themselves or involving themselves into some weird situation, and maybe introducing even like a recurring character. Yeah, I guess like I would, in that context, I would enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah, like that's how people watch a lot of sitcoms nowadays too. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people watched The Office on Netflix, and I'm like, I don't feel like those episodes were intended to be consumed that way either. Then you're like,
Right.
I do feel like we are missing a lot. Like now that we don't really have that experience of just, tune in this week, whatever's on TV is what you're watching, I guess. You don't really have the entire library at your disposal. And I just, doing this podcast has really made me come to terms with like how much anime has changed in the last like 10 years or so. And it's for
Yeah.
that reason. Like when we did the music episode, I realized that they don't really do character albums anymore like they used to. You don't get a lot of like supplementary material. Adaptations of stuff are way more faithful than they used to be. They're almost 1-to-1, almost to a fault. I still think it's super goofy that like the first set of episodes for Dandadan ends one episode into a new arc.
Oh wait, I really want to bring that up because season one, quote unquote, ended as a no, we're just gonna continue this. Technically, it's not it's not season 2, episode 1. It's just episode 13. So see you later. And it's just like you can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? You can't do that.
Yeah, it's just like, well, this is just where the season ends. We're just gonna cover the manga at one-to-one. We're not gonna add anything. We're not gonna remove anything. This is just naturally where the pacing results at the end of episode 12, which is, oh hey, it's a new arc. Tune in like 6 months from now to see the next episode. It's just so weird.
Yeah, two things. One, that's just like exactly how was it Across the Spider-Verse? Yeah, that ended on a cliffhanger, which like you can't, like, what do you mean? This is a movie. I'm not going to see this until the next 3 odd years. Like, it's like we don't get that really anymore. And okay, it's kind of all over the place, but the season 1 of Noragami, you viewers may not have heard of it. It's like the rental god thing, and it was like adapted with the manga kind of 1-to-1, starting from like episode 1 to like 8. But then afterwards, it was just like a whole mini arc of like, yeah, this is just like anime exclusive, and it's just we don't have enough episodes to start the next story arc, because that's going to lead into like 6-7 episodes in season 2. So we're just gonna try to wrap this up a little tighter, so we can just meet the deadline of 12 episodes rather than just cutting off in like 8. Which is like, if you think about it, it's like a lot cleaner. Just like how I guess you can say the Ranma manga or anime originally can do, because like it's just, hey, we're just gonna you guys expect this to be lighthearted and a little more longer drawn, and we can just give you a little bit more to round out the series rather than just kind of cram in as much story and be, quote unquote, faithful to the original adaptation as possible.
Yeah. And it's just so different to how things used to be. So like having the remake coming out right now, like season 2 is like 3 or 4 episodes in at the time of recording for the Ranma remake, and just like I watched the first episode of that season. I'm gonna watch the rest once the season ends. But like it feels so weird to have things be so faithful. Cause I'm like, is this better than most of the filler episodes? Like, I do still think this is like the best era of the Ranma manga, and I think, yeah, being faithful, it can result in a better product, but like, I don't know. As I explained in this episode, even if these examples aren't particularly like great, I still just feel like we're losing stuff by having zero filler whatsoever. Like, surely there can be a middle ground here. Because, again, compare this to the filler in Rumiko Takahashi's works. Like, even if you're faithful, are they gonna adapt that? I'm really curious. This second season of the Rama remake is gonna go past the martial arts tea ceremony arc where they meet this random one-off character, and I'm like, are they gonna adapt that, or are they gonna skip that to go to the main characters?
Yeah.
Because we're getting to the point in the manga where we start getting filler. And I'm really curious if the remake is going to have that. It's going to be really funny when this episode comes out, and we will know for sure.
Yeah, it's.
But at the time, I don't know.
We don't know, viewers. We don't know. We don't know how the anime is going to get adapted. Just like what was I going to say? I mean, yeah, this is like the nature of the show. Since this is set in before I was born, it's like 30 years in the making. There is such a weird media has changed so much where I think like what we have now, everything has to be as tight as possible, because either we don't have the budget to expand and just kind of dilly-daddle, like, oh, what if the characters do this, and then we make a couple episodes of that. We have to keep it as tight-knit as possible to, I guess, ensure the fans of like, okay, this is what you expect out of this product from what we can give you. Here's just like a one-to-one adaptation, either in a physical, like a animated media or any other media, like a book series or not. Hell, even the think about it now. I remember Initial D had a drama CD of one of the side characters, and you just don't see that anywhere now. It's just like
yeah,
this additional media that makes that adds no real relevance to the main plot, other than just being, hey, it's just, if you just want more, here is more, but you can. We know that like people who like search out or seek out media like this wouldn't be averse to different side characters, because if you want more, you're gonna consume it either way. So we're gonna probably have fun with it, and yeah. That's how I guess I come to appreciate doing this podcast, what Rama did, and what anime or in terms of Japanese media used to be, where it used to be, I guess, more fun. There's more liberties taken.
There is some stuff that was just Ranma, but in this episode, like, Ranma wasn't doing anything that no other show at the time was doing. Like,
Right.
They did it this way because this is how all shows were done.
Yeah.
You were just kind of expected to throw in this filler because, like, we got a whole season, we got to put in episodes, and the manga isn't coming out fast enough. We need to make some filler. And, like, in some ways, it is a huge improvement that, like, okay, we're making these 12 episodes and then wait 6 months for the next 12 episodes. There's significantly fewer content being released overall, and that's probably better for the employees, but also the animation quality has skyrocketed, so there's probably different, types of crunch that the animators are going through. Who knows what's better in the long run, but like, it's just different. And like, I do like looking at like, well, what are the things that we're absolutely never gonna get in something like the remake in a modern series? What are things that only existed in this era from like the 80s to the late 2000s that they then just kind of stopped doing?
Yeah, I would really like. I know this is like I'm kind of like bringing this up at like towards the very tail end of the podcast episode. But I would actually like someone, either you to bring up in topic, or maybe we can do some research together, because I'm actually very interested now in how, like, what was the core difference between Rama being released in the late 80s to early 90s to what we have as anime today. Because it seems like we are glossing over it, but there might be quite more that, like, at least I'm not aware of.
There's definitely a lot of stuff that's like of its time. Like I remember
Right.
when we discussed like the Ryoga episode, like I brought up that like a lot of the tropes behind Ryoga, those were built off of like kung fu movies. They
Yeah.
weren't built off of like the expectations of shonen anime. Like Vegeta wasn't an expectation. Like this isn't what you came in to see. It's just it is kind of funny. Like I always compare Ryoga to Vegeta, but like both Rumiko Takahashi and Akira Toriyama, they had the exact same inspiration of like, hey, we like these kung fu movies. They have funky China men from funky Chinatown.
Ooh, yes, they were definitely funky.
It's not a coincidence that both of those series are inspired by China. They both have a Chinese theme. Dragon Ball being like Journey to the West, and Ranma having a ton of Chinese stuff in it. And it's because of that, because the original inspiration wasn't other manga, it was Chinese media. It was Hong Kong kung fu films, which, you know, it's the 80s. You know what's a new invention that was becoming more commonplace throughout the 80s? VCRs. People could just rent movies and watch them. And kung fu films are one of the easiest films to just be like, I just want to watch something cool today.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, a lot of these media, they are of the time. And, like, I don't know, Ranma doesn't feel like a modern story. And I'm really curious how the remake is gonna get once we move past the more like arc based storylines and get into the filler. Because again, I'm seeing a lot of people saying that like this is more faithful, so it's gonna be skipping all that anime filler from the original anime. But then what do we do once we get to the manga filler? I don't know. I might not even know by the end of this season. We'll probably have to wait till a third season to find out.
Okay, that's if. Okay, do you know
If it gets one.
is the new? Yeah, if it gets one, do you know if Rama, the new adaptation, is gathering enough fans, or at least like the budget and greenlighting to go? Yeah, let's just continue making it until the Gravy Train stops. Because I'm surprised that they made a season 2 so quickly.
I'm not sure. I'm not really in a lot of anime communities these
Right.
days. I'm gonna be honest. There's not a lot of places. A lot of anime viewing, I feel, is done by like people talking to their friends about it or looking up YouTubers talking about it, and most of them are people who enjoyed the original. So I don't know where I would go to like look up like people who did not experience the original but watched the remake and got into the series because of that. I'm I'm really curious. I would like to have more perspectives on this podcast, but if I go around asking, "Hey, do you want to be on this Rama One Half podcast?" most of the people that say yeah are not going to be in that camp of like, "Oh yeah, I just got into this series right now because of the remake." But I'd have fun talking to someone like that because yeah, just curious how this series feels like to someone who only experienced it in a modern perspective. Cause it's so different. And like, there's so many more filler episodes. There's so many more just random wacky hijinks that again, we're doing this episode because I'm like, I just want to do something lighthearted. Does anyone want to just talk about random filler episodes? Pick from this list. Just pick something random. Kick the can? Okay, let's do that. And like, I think that's a good formula for whenever I'm like, we don't need a lot of serious talk, even though this one is now being like half serious talk about the concept of adaptations.
Oh yeah, we definitely trail into that. we may, I don't know. I'm also very with the way you brought it up. If you can find like someone who can hop on and talk about like, hey, I just started watching anime within like 2020 during the pandemic when everyone got like 6 months of just playtime to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus like me, I watched anime since I was 3 years old. Like I never really consumed a lot of it, but I was aware of what anime is and kind of like Ranma. It's a children like it's aimed towards more very casual viewing, very episodic, very just like hey, here's the main group of characters that you're gonna be familiar with. They're gonna do wacky hijinks, or there's gonna be a very light-hearted storytelling adventure. It's just we don't get that.
Yeah, you don't. And like the context of like that's just how most media was at the time is like I don't know, that could be lost on someone. If you just watch it in a vacuum, you might not be thinking about that when going through these episodes. And I think that's why so many like previews for the remake folk fixate on stuff like that of like, yeah, there's all this filler, it's just wasting your time. We're going to get a much more like snappy, quicker adaptation that's no filler. Like
Yep.
almost any time I see someone like half the time I see people praising the remake, it's for being more faithful. And that's it. As if like that concept alone is enough to praise. And I'm like, well, there is stuff to praise in the remake. It's just that's not what people talk about because the quickest thing to just say is that it is more faithful. People immediately know what you're talking about. And you don't have to give it much more thought than that. And just, I don't know. It's a different landscape, and I'd like to do more episodes like this of just like, yeah, but like to me, as someone who went through the whole series, most Ranma is the goofy one-off filler.
Right.
So like that's what I think about when I think of Ranma. So like I don't want to lose all this. That's part of why I made this podcast in the first place, cuz I'm like there's so much stuff that people just aren't going to pay attention to. And I feel like that applies to most things. There's like a million different shows from this era. Again, throughout the entire 80s and to the early 2000s, there are so many shows that went on for long times. There's so many that had like drama CDs and spin-offs and OAVs, and like nowadays you don't get any of that. You just tune in, here's 12 episodes on Netflix, and then you're done.
Yeah.
That's become the norm.
Yeah. Even like an OAV, it's like it's expected in a way where you know what you're gonna get, like a beach episode, or like hey, there's a this side thing that like we could make like a tight 24 minutes on, or like there's this misunderstanding if it's like a rom-com that like the character gets in, or like hey, there's this like really casual like maybe like a baking episode or something. If it's just something like it's not out of the norm of like what you expect, and it's not something like what if like we introduce an old cast or new characters, or like what if we introduce a new concept, or how would these characters, if you're the writer, play off of on each other. It's very tight, even like if you're gonna get extra media. What I'm trying to say is we only get beach episodes. It is all beach episodes. We only go to the beach. We never go anywhere else.
Yeah. But yeah, I suppose that's enough talk for today.
That is, yep.
About this, but yeah, like I said, there's plenty more of these episodes where they came from. I didn't expect to have this much talk about like just general adaptation at the end. But like, if this is what we get by just talking about random goofy filler where Shampoo sisters make a dumb little paper mache dragon with a flamethrower attached to it, then like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I guess I can say I'm kind of a grab bag person myself, because I lit the fuck up when you mentioned Scruffy. Like, I love that. I love that character. He's just like this, not like this janitor has been here for like 85 years, who knows, and is just doing his bare minimum job. and he lives in the boiler room. It's great.
Yeah, Toramasa lives in the student store, basically. He lives at the school. Like, I literally put in my notes, I listed him as Toramasa, the school janitor, as like a joke. But then I was like, well, he's not actually the janitor, so I don't want to like mislead anything in case someone picks this episode. But like, yeah, he's basically that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't really get characters like that unless you're willing to just have fun and do a goofy thing. Just like, yeah, of course there's some weird guy living in the school. Why wouldn't there be? There's all sorts of weirdos in this universe. Again, a ghost shows up and they're just like, I guess we're haunted now. Get her some rice, Kasumi, please. Be nice to our guest.
Yep. Guess maybe we all need a little bit of Scruffy in our lives and less tight adaptation. Season 1, Don ending, like 10 minutes, whatever.
There's an episode title in there somewhere. I will find it.
It's been too long, but we can find something. If not, then I like Scruffy because because instead of him always going back to him, he always like flicks porno mags. Like every time you interact with Scruffy in Futurama, in the first like couple seasons, he's always like reading some type of porno mag. And the first time I see this man with like a conventionally attractive humanoid robot, he just declines the offer because no, my heart is not in the right place. This is wrong. We cannot be together. And where would you get that? You don't see it. You never saw it happen. It's nuts.
It's goofy comedy when you get I do like characters that are just like barely doing their job. I feel there's definitely a lot of comedy there. Because if they're not doing their jobs, what are they doing? And that's the answer that usually gives us the comedy.
Yep, but yeah, that's all I got for today. Anything you want to mention?
No, that's about it. Do you have anything to promote? You usually don't, but I always ask. You never know.
Yeah, I don't. Whoever's listening, continue doing the best job you can do. Be a little more selfish. Do take some time off for yourself. Yeah. Do ask for that promotion and raise. We definitely need it now. So yeah, just be a little more selfish. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, not much to sign off here. But I hope people enjoyed. I like doing grab bag episodes. I like just being like, and then this happened. And that's it. We don't need a big serious discussion or analysis of this character. But again, to me, that's what Ranma is. So, yeah, I hope people enjoyed that. I hope it gives people a better idea of what to expect of the series. Because again, I know some people don't actually like watch all of Ranma. I don't expect them to. There's way too much. But yeah, I hope this is just fun stuff to know about.
Yeah.
I just like having new context of things, even if it's not useful. Just knowing that these are the types of characters you can expect in a random filler episode is like, yeah, you could find something there if you put on like Pluto TV. There's like an old anime channel that might have an episode of Ranma on. That's like the closest thing we have to the classic TV viewing experience for a lot of people, unfortunately, but it's better than nothing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyways, here's hoping to less Don to Dons and more Scruffy the Janitors.
More Scruffy. I need that.